Hello everyone, I hope that you're all safe and sound and that this virus is not affecting you so much. I wish you all best of luck and stay healthy. This is Corona edition of my fly tying tutorial and I hope you will like it. So let's see my fly tying station and the reason why I am shaking my phone all the time. That's too close. So let's go. I'm making a video right now about how to make a pheasant tail nymph, different variations, but I'm going to talk about proportions and quantities of material and how to apply them and how to make the most of your fly. The reason why I'm making this video is a guy named Kobe. I hope this is a correct pronunciation of his name. He posted his flies on Facebook. He's tying flies for like 7 days, I guess, and these nymphs were quite amazing if you ask me, but there were some things that could have been improved, and he asked for the suggestion. And I think he's going to be a great tyer if I'm judging by the look of his first nymphs. So thank you for inspiring me and to make this video. So I'm going to talk about how to make a good fly in a matter of days. So I'm starting, I will show you for this is size 14, so I'll start with something bigger. It's quite basic for most people, maybe universal. It's a size 12 hook, 3.5 millimeter bead. That's not important, but what is important is to talk about materials for start. Here I'm having quite huge, you can see the size of this pheasant tail, and this one is already done. It's much smaller. I'll focus now. Okay, and it's a different color. This one is dyed like wine color. This one is natural. I found it somewhere in the woods, and it has like perfect curls. So I'll use this one. Okay, first let's start with the thread. It's important to use thin thread, or not too thick, not too thin, because if you're using too thin thread, you're going to make too many wraps. It takes some time. If you're using too thick thread, it's very easy to bulk your fly and to ruin everything in a matter of few wraps. So for size 12, I'm using 12/0. It can be thicker. This is on a thin side, to be honest. And I'm using orange because it's like very visible right now. So what I like to do, I like to make few wraps here, secure everything first, cut the excess. Now it's time to add wire, and I just discovered this wire. It's ultra tan color and it matches perfectly pheasant tail body. I mean, I don't know what I was waiting for, how I didn't notice this wire before. It's so perfect. So the reason why I'm catching materials right about here in the first third is I want to make bulk here, and I want to taper the body towards the end. So from here to here, the body should be tapered or level. It's both are fine. So catch your materials here. I'm doing everything slowly, okay, and go back a little bit. Try to make smooth underbody whenever you're tying, okay? So you can see like very slight taper. So I can come back here, create more taper. But always, I mean, if you're going to make thorax, leave a slight gap right behind a bead, because that gap will help you position your thorax properly. So I'm making a taper here. When I'm satisfied with the taper, I will proceed to the rear end of the hook and to my tie-in point. And you can see there is just one layer of thread at the very end of this hook here. So you have a couple of layers here and just one layer here. Notice one more thing. The wire is positioned on the side of a hook. It's not important, but if you let your wire be manipulated by the thread, it will twist around the hook and the body won't be uniformed. So this is like, just position it on the side, on the tying side of you, so you can see what are you doing, and it will be easy from this point on. So this is like the basic thing for your fly underbody. If you have this right, everything else will be much easier. So for the fly this big, so it's size 12, I'm using, let's say, 5, maybe 6 hurls. So you just take here, like you see, it's like 6. You make it perpendicular to the stem, align the tips, and pull them like this. Now you pull through your fingers, pull, and when you reach almost the end, you see what you're left off. So this is not very good because these tips are broken, I guess, but I'm going to pull them out a little bit. So align the tips first. See, this is more or less okay now. Now you want your tail to be more or less shank length. So from here to here, that's okay. It can be shorter, but it's not very desirable to be longer than that. So this is the length I need, just in front of my fingers. This is my tying point. Personally, I like it shorter, so I pull my fingers backwards. Now, the important thing, I showed it in the previous video. Pinch and pinch and loop. Place the thread between these two fingers, and then make a wrap, almost full wrap around the hook shank, and place your thread that's going from the bobbin in front of everything else, and then pull upwards. This wrap will secure everything down. Then go with one more wrap around it, tightly, very tightly, and then move away those curls and proceed forward. Okay? Now, very important thing, so you can make a very durable pheasant tail nymph, is this. Wrap this in the opposite direction than you were wrapping your thread. So go backwards, more or less. Okay? And when you reach this point, 1, tighten it down, 2, keep the tension, and now in front of it, just 1 or 2 are enough. That's it. Cut the excess hurls. Now you can see that it's already done. It's quite good body. Now hold this tail, push it on the hook here, and wrap this wire almost like to the opposite, almost full circle, and then pull down. Okay, it won't move. If you pull, it won't move those tails. Now, keeping this angle same all the way as you wrap this wire will ensure that you're having uniform wraps evenly spaced on the body, which is just aesthetic of the fly. It's not like too important for your fly, but if you're going to make a fly, well, make it as good as you can. Now again, 1, 2, keep the tension all the time. Oops, well, there was something probably here, but never mind. So yeah, there is something sharp here. Never mind, I'll go back. Now, after a few turns, I'll just break the wire like this. So it happens sometimes there is something sharp here because of the molding or whatever, but never mind. Now it's time to add some thorax. Dubbing the thread is also something that people are struggling. Take as little as possible. You can see here that this piece is like in a bundle, so this is not good for dubbing because it's going to make too much of a bulk on the thread. Now notice how little dubbing I'm using here. Keep your thread tight, press your finger with dubbing against the thread, and then in same direction, just move your fingers always in the same direction, and you'll make tight noodle, as you can see. Now, sometimes you want to make this dubbing noodle more thick and more spiky. You can add, of course, more dubbing on this one. I don't want to do this on this fly, so I'm going to add just a little bit of dubbing. And then, keeping the tension all the time, create a thorax. Okay, I have to be careful not to cut my thread again. I need to put some more dubbing. See, if I do this, I'm gonna create too thick, so I don't want to do it. Little dubbing? No, you need more. You need less, sorry. So, take little dubbing, press it, and dub the rope. Now, you don't need to create your hotspot right away. You will create it as you make your whip finish knot. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Create and tighten the knot away from you. Then again, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the end. Now let's talk about mistakes. Size 12 hook is easy to make, and it's easy to keep those proportions. And what happens if you want to make the same fly but on a smaller scale hook? This is size 18, same model of the hook, and I'm going to use the same thread again. So instead of doing like 5, 6, 7, 8 turns this way, if you do that, you'll be half the way on the hook. So you have to downsize everything. Number of reps, number of hurls, everything you have to go down in numbers. Even the wire can be thinner if you're doing smaller nymph. So I'm going to try to do it with this wire actually. I don't know why, but it looks amazing, and that's why I'm using it. So I'll keep all those thread reps to a minimum, and in this case I'm not going to create any taper because it's too small to do that. No need to do that. So for size 18 nymph, 3, maybe 4 hurls are okay, but let's do it with 3. So you're not creating bulk. That's very important. So when you want to add those pheasant tail hurls, align the tips first, and then position the length as you want it, and then hold your finger against the hook so it won't move, and do pinch and loop again. So hold it down, 1, 2, that's it, positioned. Now in tight wraps, go towards the tungsten, and then in the opposite way, wrap those hurls, go turn by turn, one each turn next to each other. So 1, 2. No need to over wrap these. And when you want to secure material like pheasant hurl, sorry, it's not fighting with you. I mean, it's soft material. There is no need to use too many wraps to secure it. Just 3 is enough. Now I want to cover this orange tag that I've just made, so I'll go over it with my wire. And now let's go. Same angle again. 1, 2, 3, and I tighten each turn I have. Now let's go. Now break the wire. Now you can add 1 or more turns with the wire, like this, secure it more, and then add thorax. And after this I will show you what happens if you overdress your fly. Okay. And also the hotspot doesn't have to be too emphasized. Like just 1 or 2 thread wide widths should be more plenty. So this is size 18, this is size 12. They both look the same. Okay, now let's do a messed up fly. So in order to do that, I'm going to use big hook again. Okay, I'm going to use another thread, a little bit thicker, but not too thick. So you start like this, most people do, and you cover your hook. Now what happens next? Some people will add wire, maybe. So let's do it like this. And they will go back. And they will secure it here in order not to wrap around or whatever. Always keep the tension, that's very important. Now, because they don't know how much to use, they will just take a bunch of these, and they're like 10 or 12, I don't know, they will pull them out, and then they will put it like this. Okay. That's my cat trying to get into my room, full of materials, not going to happen. And then some people will wrap it in the same direction, which is more or less okay, but it doesn't reinforce your fly. And then, see, too many wraps here. No need to do that. If you wrap this wire in the same direction, you are not going to reinforce. If you're wrapping it in the opposite direction than you did your hurls, okay, then you have to use too many turns of your thread over here, because the wire is going this way and the thread is going this way, so it's counterproductive to do this. If both wire and thread go the same way, the thread will tighten the wire a little bit more, so it's not going to fight with the wire. Now, some people will add some dubbing, and they will do that like this. They'll take a bunch of it, apply it on the hook. Okay. Sorry for the shaking on my phone. Okay. And then, to be certain that they did a good job with whip finishes, they will make too many wraps, and then they will destroy everything they just did. So again, too close. I need to buy a camera. So compare. One is number 12, the other is number 12. Okay, it's a huge difference, but it takes same time to make each of them, and then this one and this one are not the same. Even this tail is too bulky. It can actually represent longer body. This tail is just a tail. This tail can be body. The fish can see it as a body because it's too bulky. Okay, fish is not counting those hurls, so they just see the silhouette. And now let's do the same on a small fly. When you use a small fly, it's even worse. Now with a small fly, I'll use orange thread again. I just love it. So people will do the same. I'll tie it the same way as I did the previous fly. I'll just overdress it and see how much it affects a small fly. It's even worse, much worse. So you don't care about your wire. It goes around your body like so, see? Now you take your pheasant tail. I'm not going to take like 10 or 12 a tail. I'm just using like, let's say 6 or 7. I'm not sure. Now look at the tail. It's already too thick, and I'm not using like too many. These curls are very long. Oops. Okay, so 1, 2. Then let's go back to the tungsten. Wrap. Well, I forgot one very important thing. Some people, they tend to overdress this because they think that these curls are going to run away or something. Okay, now it's secured. Now I'm going to turn the wire. If you don't hold your tail, it will happen. Something will happen. I'll show you just in a second. Okay. Then secure everything with too many turns, and then add your dubbing again. I'll add too much, and I'll add too bulky. So yes, this is not too much actually, but never mind. No need to exaggerate too much. Okay. Now let's compare these two flies. I told you, if you don't hold your tail, it's going to flip to the side, one or the other. Look at these two. Again, huge difference, and it's the same hook, same fly, but huge difference. Same amount of time. So guys, just pay attention to small details, count everything, count number of curls. If you need to count the ribbing part, count the ribbing part, count whip finish, do everything step by step. Make a very good layer foundation for your fly, then you can do whatever you want with your fly, and it will be very good. If you're not satisfied with your fly, there is something you should do always. This. Cut everything and make a new one. If you're not satisfied fully with your fly, just cut it and make another one. That's how you do it. Now let's see why it's so important to make a very durable fly. Look at this bead. It's all beaten up, but the fly, it's still holding more or less together. There is one strand of thread that's going away, so the whip finish, one whip finish went off, but there is another one standing here. Then all the pheasant tail curls are here. There are no tails, of course, you can see that, but still the body is here, almost intact. Thorax is there. I was using dubbing here, not actual peacock curl, so everything is still here. This fly will still catch fish. It's still on the hook, a little bit ruined, but not too much. And that's why it's important to counter rib your pheasant tail. That's why it's important to keep tension all the time as you tie your fly. And still it has form. Even the taper is here, you can see everything. I was using this fish on trout, and I got like more than 100, I don't know. This is a fly that came from war, directly from war, I think. So guys, keep your flies good, because they will last more fish and they will catch you more fish. Thank you very much for watching, thank you for your time, and see you next time without a virus, I hope. Bye bye.